Hi.
Hey, how you doing, Lori?
I'm doing good. I just got off the phone with a gentleman. His name is Taylor Harris.
Okay.
He used to be roommates with your old bandmate from the Davidians.
Really? Oh, that would be this guy named Colin.
Yes.
Yeah.
And his name's Taylor, and he's really awesome. It's a small world. He's a musician from the cities, but I met him and his wife better and their little kid or partner. And they live like 20 miles from this. I bought a bank building.
Oh yeah?
In southern Minnesota.
Right.
That's where I am right now.
In Minnesota?
Yeah, and it's not Minnesota. There's no snow.
Right. Well, do you have more than one house? Didn't you
Yes.
tell me that you have a place in the desert or something like that?
I have 2 acres in Yucca Valley, Joshua Tree area that I'm trying to sell right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's on a site somewhere for sale. And then I have a duplex in South Minneapolis. And then I just bought this like 2.5 months ago.
Okay.
And it's a bank building that was built in 1900 and has 3 vaults in it. And it's it's residential. So.
Okay. So you're kind of like a real estate tycoon this year?
Kind of, I guess. I mean, I'd like to get rid of my land so I can put the money towards this place I bought. But this place I couldn't pass it up, and it's so great. And it was, I mean, in Minneapolis, it would be probably 7 times more than I paid for here.
Uh-huh.
So,
wow.
Or more.
Right.
So I couldn't pass it up. It's its own building in a really small town. There's the outdoor window. Oops.
Oh, look at that.
Wow. There's the outdoor, yeah.
Nice.
So I've got a little American Legion right across the street, and I'm the 200th person on the whatever they call it, population. I can't even think of the words. It's been a little rough one lately, as everyone knows.
Yeah, it's definitely been a very strange, odd year. It's kind of hard to sum it up in a nutshell. But
yes.
Yeah. Well, thanks for agreeing to talk to me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
And yep. I saw you got the Self and the Punishment book because you sent me a picture of you.
I do. It's sitting right over on my right over there on my credenza. See it?
I do.
It's right on top there because I just actually brought them yesterday. My books that I'm going to sit here, that I want to have here, they're mostly music and interesting stuff like that. It's like First Avenue, the Heyday book, which is also First Avenue, Chris Marr's art book, and your book, and a birthday book.
Oh wow, I'm in good company. Thank you.
You are.
I'm glad my book could sit next to Chris Marr's book.
Yeah, I'd say you're
totally
you're
different thing.
You're on top of him, FYI.
Well, no, not really. Well, how's your, we can just start this off. How has your year been? Did you have anything planned that had to be canceled after February and March when the world changed and now we're living in interesting times?
Yeah, are you censoring it? Interesting. Come on.
That's a good way to put it.
So at the end of March, my last shift at bartending at the Uptown VFW on beautiful Lake in Lindale in South Minneapolis, my last shift was Monday, March 16th. And about a week and a half later, I was supposed to go to Jamaica. You know Pat Dwyer. Have you met Pat? Who's Tom Hazelmeyer's partner at Grumpy's? Business partner? Okay, well, him and his wife, and then and Tom Hazelmeyer's wife, Lisa, and myself, and 3 other people were supposed to go to Jamaica. I think there was 7 of us.
Right.
So we had already paid for the house, paid for our flight, paid for everything, canceled. Wow. So that was the first thing canceled. And then I just celebrated a birthday a couple weeks ago, and it was a big one. So
Happy birthday.
I think, you know, is the best. Um, and I wanted to go to Costa Rica, and my goal is to go to the baby sloth orphanage. So that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That's what I really want to do. I haven't been to Costa Rica before, and I'd love sloths, and I wanted to go. There's an orphanage. So that was my plan for my big birthday. That didn't happen. And then a friend of mine and I were supposed to go over to Europe over New Year's. So
This new coming up, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that didn't happen either. So, you know, I mean, those are the three travel things and like the plans. I mean, there are other plans. I was supposed to, I've been pricing pretty much 80% of the things now, like 50% of things I own to sell them for a big, huge estate sale that was going to happen this last spring. But that didn't happen. And so now my first floor is filled with thousands of really cool items, including rock and roll t-shirts, housewares, instruments, artwork, you name it, antiques, collectibles. And so my first floor is now like packed with stuff that's priced and ready to go on for sale. So that's just all sitting there and taking up my space, which I really should be renting for some sort of MFN income.
Yeah.
So instead I buy a place.
Yeah. Well, this year's been pretty, it's been pretty kind of horrible in some regards, you know, obviously with the pandemic and just watching how people react to it and how right off the bat you could see right away that nobody was gonna really treat it for what it was, which was science. And then all this other crazy stuff happened and the isolation and, you know, it's been crazy. But on the other hand, so much of what I do doesn't involve going outside or really being around people. And I'm kind of introverted anyway. So it's kind of like, it wasn't that big of a change for me. I think it was just having the choice removed to go out and do stuff. I liked it better when I chose not to do stuff, but now I can't. But now that I can't go out and do stuff or see a show or whatever, now I want to do it. And, you know, I couldn't do it. And you know, so.
Such a typical man.
I just thought it was.
Kidding.
I just thought it was being introverted because, like, I kind of thought for people that are more extroverted, this must be like twice as horrible. You know, for people that, you know, that really need to connect. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like I don't need to connect, but I'm pretty happy spending lots of hours doing stuff by myself, which is, I guess, what you have to accept if you're an artist person. There's no way around that. You have to do that. But you know, I still people still needed artwork, so I did pretty good. I did as well, probably, you know. I was surprised, I guess.
I think that's awesome. You know, you have that, there's some things where people, I mean, some people make music, but then, you know, if you're commissioned or if you have I don't know. I know there's some musicians and some artists that are just broken and they're just like, I can't do anything. I can't think. I can't be creative. I can't do anything. And some people makes it better, you know, so I don't know it, you know, but yeah, it's been tough for me because because I bartend and I'm a social butterfly and I like music and I go to a lot of shows and, you know, but now I guess a positive thing is that I realize that I'm alone, you know, because I am solitary. I'm single and I don't have my dog passed away too. So it's just like, it's kind of really weird. It's a weird, super thing to be completely alone. So I guess I took that and embraced it. And I'm like, well, instead of being in Minneapolis alone, where I don't know, as everybody knows, there was a lot of things that happened in Minneapolis this year, all over the whole country. But Minneapolis was kind of the explosion of it all.
Ground zero for a lot of interesting times.
Yeah. So I live right in South Minneapolis. I live about 10 blocks from where George Floyd was killed. And those police are my police in my precinct. And I've lived in my duplex, my house for 28 years. So I know Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And I'm also a block club leader. So I've had to intertwine with them on so many different things. But oh God, of course, people are sending me texts. So, with all of that said and done, I kind of was like, shoot, I came to this place where there's 199 people. And I was just like, this is perfect. Would I have ever gotten this if I was, gallivanting around and the COVID never happened, and the quarantine and all of the uprising in Minneapolis. So I embrace it. And every time I'm down here, I'm just like, there's really good things. And I try and look at the really great things that have happened this year. And there's a lot of them, but lots and lots. How does it balance out? I don't know. Because I don't want to really think about it, but because we've had a lot of losses, and there's just a lot, but.
Oh yeah. This year, I definitely lost some things, and lost some people. Like I had an aunt and an uncle, and my late father's partner, she passed away, and then of course all the people that we probably know and like in art and music and all that stuff. So yeah, it's been kind of brutal, but I've just kind of kept my head down and just kept going, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I don't really think about it. I just do it. And this year in particular, because this year was like an exercise in having no control over anything.
Yeah.
What people do, what people think, what you can do. And that's a hard thing to kind of relinquish. When you realize you have no fucking control. And this is the first year where like your beliefs could kill you. Like, I'm going to wear a mask. Well, I'm not going to wear a mask. Well, I'm on this team. Well, I'm on this other team, and whatever the fuck people with their illusions of being different, what they're gonna, do. So yeah, it's been Well, one door opens, another door closes.
Yep, exactly. But you can't open a door in front of you until the door behind you is closed. You got to shut that MFer. But are you wearing a Black Flag shirt?
A friend of mine named Jared Warren that lives here did these Black Flag,
Oh, butchered. That's awesome.
Hey,
I love it. That's really great. Because I could only see like that much of the top,
Yeah. It's kind of funny how I think people know what this is a little bit, maybe.
Yes.
Just a little bit. I'm being sarcastic.
No, it's really great. I mean, it's pretty good. Aren't you impressed that Buzz's wife Mackie is the one that designed the Social Distortion logo?
I did hear that. The skeleton.
Yeah, with the martini glass and the top hat.
Yeah, she got paid. From what she told me once a long time ago, she got paid millions of dollars.
Like this much. Like that much.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I just always love that logo, and you can go around the world and see it stenciled underneath bridges in foreign countries. It's just like anywhere, and it's just so wild. So one day I was sitting at their house. I mean, this was probably I don't know. I don't even know how many years they've been together, but it was a long, 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 long time ago. Right. And I was just she had her artwork sitting on a book and on a table, and I'm like, do you mind if I look through it? She goes, no, that's cool. The first thing was that, and I was like, what is that doing in here? And she goes, probably because I did it. And I was like, you have to be kidding. I mean, it just blew me away, because I'm like, you are kidding me. I mean, I was like, I have photos from traveling around the country and finding it in the most obscure places, you know, like abandoned squats in like Ljubljana, Yugoslavia, you know,
Right.
stuff like that. And so it just kind of really blew me away. I was just like, man, you're kidding. I'm sitting in your house and you know, because this was so many years ago, you know, and
Yeah.
when I found this out, but you know, that was when it just was crazy. And then one time we just talked about it. And she's like, yeah, nothing.
Yeah. Well, that kind of that's kind of how it goes. A lot of
Isn't it though?
oh yeah, especially back then when it's you know, you're just so happy to be involved in all that stuff that, you know, thinking about money or whatever comes way later, you know, like it's one of those, hey, wait a second kind of moments. Well, what's your favorite punk rock sort of logo or emblem for those times? Do you have a favorite? Because as overdone as this is, you know, it's still a very striking image. And then I think I have to go with the Crass, the guy that invented the Crass logo. That's a very so I'm gonna go with it for me.
The Crest is really great. Also, and you know, probably in about 1981, I made a and it was also Hüsker Dü. It was just the opposite of the length of the bars of Psychic TV, or was it no, it's Psychic TV and Hüsker Dü had kind of the opposite, you know, of the three bars on the parallel bars on the but so I had one of those, but I really like Throbbing Gristle. I like the Thunderbolt, the black, the red, and the white with the Thunderbolt. And I thought that, I mean, you know, just as far as like looking at logos, you know, kind of visually for me, that one was cool. And you know, I mean, even when you see something like, you know, the Circle Jerks logo, it's just like so aggressive, you know, it's just like the skanking kid, you know,
Right.
with the shirt tied around his
Sean,
waistline, you know, it's just kind of like, it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was drawn by a woman named Sean Carey.
Yep.
She was like a huge influence for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And oh geez, who I can't even think of his name right now. I will think of it. But he did some record covers, like some artwork. And then I ended up asking him to be my date for when, I had a rough week. I lost one of my best friends a few days ago. And I'm just kind of, my brain is just pudding.
Right. You were going to say that you asked him to go on a date when you went to see Raw Power in 1985 or something.
No. It was the movie with Joe Strummer and Courtney Love in it. It was at a drive-in in LA.
I know what you're talking about, but I never. A dude that was in the movie.
Joe Strummer was in the movie. Courtney was in the movie. And the film was at a drive-in in LA, and I asked him to be my date, and and I went with Courtney. That was back in like 1980, the 80s. Yep. When Joe Cole was still alive, who we miss. But yeah, Joe Cole, because I think he was probably there too. Because I met him. Yeah. So anyway.
Well, we'll figure it out.
We will. I'll think of the movie.
Do you mind telling the story? You touched on it when I interviewed you for the book, but the story about you being a promoter and bringing Minor Threat to your town.
Oh yeah.
What was that like?
It was really great. They ended up, I lived in a house called the Big Trouble House. I had a skate ramp in the backyard. I was there for a few years and I loved Minor Threat. And I was just like, you know what? They kind of taught me how to be DIY. You know, they're just, them and Sonic Youth are like the two the two bands I give credit for being DIY. So I did as much as I could for Babes in Toyland later on down the road, because they basically, it's like, nope, we pick our artists. Nope, we do this, we do that. I mean, kind of deal. They didn't really tell me that, but I was just kind of like, everything you just get to choose, and you get to pick, and you get to be independent, and you just do it yourself. Why wait for someone else to do it when you can do it yourself? So that's how I was like, I love Minor Threat. I want them to come to Minneapolis because I want to see them play.
Right.
So I searched around for a clubhouse or somewhere where they can perform. This was in 1991, I believe, or 1981. 81. I think it was 80.
I have a good memory for trivial stuff like dates and stuff, so I'm gonna not try to correct you, but I think it would have to have been
83.
Yeah.
After I said 81, I'd go, no, I think it was 83, because my boyfriend at the time, his band played with him. He was the singer of Final Conflict. So, and Bob Mould.
One of five bands in America at any given point that had the band name Final Conflict.
Yeah. Bob Mould produced the record. Anyways, so I found this place, and I asked them if they'd play here, and they're like, sure. And I figured out I don't know how we figured out. They're probably going on tour in their van. I remember their van. I'm pretty sure it was blue. And so I booked that show, and then I booked this hall. It was like I think it was an American Legion. So I booked that. I had to get insurance because if anything happened to anybody, I made tickets, I made flyers. I still have the flyer from it. Pretty raw. It's pretty raw. It's like a hand coming out of a casket, grabbing onto chains that are around it. And it's like, yeah.
Well, I'm sure it was better than plenty of flyers from back then. Hey, we need a flyer. Here you go.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's like, maybe I'll send you an image if I can find it somewhere. It's pretty funny. So, and made some tickets, and they came to town, and it was so fun. And they ended up staying with me. I'm pretty sure it was probably a couple of nights, it was pretty fun. And then Fugazi too would stay, and I can't remember if it was Minor Threat or Fugazi. We went and saw a movie downtown Minneapolis, and it was packed. I mean, it was this huge theater called the Skyway, and there was just hundreds and hundreds of seats. It was probably sat like, I'm not kidding, like 400, 500 people. Anyways, we're watching this movie, and I remember laughing, and someone from the audience from way up high behind us goes, "Shut up, Lori." And so those guys were like, someone of like hundreds of people just knew my laugh and called me out. And so that was pretty funny.
Right. Yeah, I think I first read about you as a person and Peter Davis's Your Flesh. I think it was after Babes in Toyland sort of came out. And literally one of the first things in the article he wrote was about you, that you had been this person that had been around town and had lived there and promoted shows, and bands would stay with you and things like that. And that you had this huge, I don't want to say reputation, but you were known as being somebody that was like a behind the scenes kind of person.
Yep.
That's what I first was literally it was before I heard the band. It was like maybe the first year or two of your existence, maybe. So I kind of was like, oh, okay. And I think people don't, I've read, interviews and stuff with you. I think people don't know that history that you had before Babes in Toyland, and some of those stories that you had told me about, like, traveling and living in Florida and eventually ending up in Minnesota and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That used to go, so that's kind of why I wanted to ask you about the Minor Threat thing, because I too at one point loved Minor Threat, and I just thought it was kind of cool that, hey, here's somebody that actually promoted Minor Threat, even though it was like so long ago, like, such ancient history or whatever, it's still, history. And people really, they enjoy hearing that kind of stuff. At least I do.
Yeah, thanks. 37 years ago.
Oh, man.
Right?
Yeah, that's
83 was 37 years ago. It's insane. It is so insane. But I mean, so yeah, I was born in Minneapolis. My dad got transferred to a bank in New York City, so he lived outside of New York City. Went to all the shows in the city. And while I was in high school, I think about that. I'm like, my God, I was going to shows. I went and saw Queen when I was like 17 years old at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, wow.
And just
do you remember what time period that was for Queen?
Well, it would have been 1980, 86 or 87. I still have the ticket stub. Or excuse me, 70s. Sorry. I graduated in 70s.
Time is an abstract concept when you get to be like 50 in your 50s and stuff. It's like, I can't believe this much time has passed and I'm still here. I guess I better just enjoy that or whatever. But yeah, time is just like this one long thing now. I can't really distinguish.
It is. Yeah. So no, I graduated in 78. So it was like 77 or 76 that I saw Queen.
Ooh,
I saw David Bowie. I saw Pink Floyd. That was all at Madison Square Garden, but then I just went down into the city and saw the punk rock shows and stuff like that, CBGBs and all that stuff. So I can't believe I did that when I was like 17, 18. I mean, I would just run around the city at 16, 17, 18, I mean, I guess they still do, but it's just kind of wild, I'm like going, man, if I had a 16-year-old, would I have let them go into New York,
No, never. I talk to people our age that have children and stuff, and I have a daughter, and that's probably never going to happen to her. But like at the same time, my parents were like, when I was able to travel and go, I was 18 years old, and they let us go. We want to go on this tour, and we're 18 years old, 17 years old, 19 years old, and all of our parents were like, "Go ahead, go." And like, I just can't fucking imagine being a parent now and like, doing that, even though in some ways it's obviously a lot safer,
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea of just of things were just kind of looser back then.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
so yeah, I probably was 15 or 16 because I graduated when I was 17.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of crazy. I think about that shit. And then I was in Key West, Florida, living on a houseboat when I was 17 and I turned 18 down there. I was living on Sugarloaf Key. And then I worked at Sloppy Joe's. And then there was a little restaurant inside of it called the Greek Sponger. And so I worked the counter there and made the Greek food, served the Greek food and stuff. So it's just kind of, and I'm just thinking, I lived down there in Key West when I was like 17 by myself. Didn't know anybody.
And there was no internet? There was
no... No, there was nothing. Nuh-uh.
Isn't it weird to talk to people about life before all that stuff and just how like it almost seems just completely impossible to imagine that you could exist and have a life without social media or a computer or the internet? And it's just weird. It seems almost impossible to imagine, and it's hard to explain. It's like, well, yeah, it was fine, like the closest thing to the convenience of doing this like right now was writing letters, really, and talking to people on the phone and getting
landlines.
Getting people always talk about getting those numbers and cards and things to make noises and pay phones. Like
I used to do that. Babes in Toyland had their own, someone reached out to us and there was a Babes in Toyland calling card.
Oh, really?
Yes. It was the artwork for Nemesisters on it. I'm not kidding. Babes in Toyland. It's just insane. It really is. Jesus, that's just where they're really dating us. I don't know how old you are, but I'm old, and it's just so crazy. And then I live, and then I just traveled, and I always traveled by myself, or I just never had any fear. I just think of the things. When I left Key West, I hijacked.
Oh.
What do you call it? Not hijacked. What's it
No,
called?
not hijacked, but hitchhiked.
Hitchhiked. I hitchhiked from Key West, Florida to freaking Texas.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I think about that. I'm like, I can't believe I'm alive. All the things that I've done that are absolutely insane. And I'm just sitting here in Peterson, Minnesota going, man, I'm still alive. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean, hitchhiking, that was a way more accepted sort of thing too. And I didn't do a lot of that, but yeah, it's crazy to sit back and think about all the fearless things you did when you were a kid, because you were excited mostly.
Yep.
And when you're excited about something, it's hard to be afraid.
Yeah, it's true,
Awesome.
but yeah. Yep, it's true.
Yeah. Well, at least this year you didn't have a bunch of musical stuff and a career to cancel like so many people that we know. Do you ever miss playing music, or do you ever envision a time where that could happen, or do you feel like the ship has sailed for the foreseeable future?
Kind of all of the above, because it just changes daily, but unfortunately, here's what happened. Long story short, one thing that happened to me in 2020. On November 5th, I went to a town next to me called Rushford, Minnesota. Went to the pharmacy. I'm like, I'm going to get a flu shot, because if you go in the city, everywhere you go, they're like, we're out of flu shots. We're out of flu shots. And it's just impossible to go anywhere, do anything. And I didn't want to run to all these places. I was like, I called out there and I'm like, do you have flu shots? They're like, the way that she responded to me was like, are you an idiot? Of course we have flu shots.
Right.
So I went there, I got a flu shot. When she gave me the shot, and I've been getting one every year since I went to Austin, Texas, because it doesn't get freezing cold there. The strain seemed like it was a little crazy, and people got really, really sick down there. Yeah. And because it just never really got super cold. Like when it's really cold, you just kind of go, oh, well, you just stay in your house and then you don't get the flu. Well, when it's warm 365 days a year, you're running around and everyone's sick, and it's just bad. So when I lived in Austin, Texas, I moved there, 13 years ago, and was there for 7 years, I started getting a flu shot. So when I got the flu shot, she gave it to me, and immediately I was like, man, that wasn't right. My threshold for pain is pretty big. I've had all kinds of stuff happen to me. Broke my tailbone, been in rollover car accidents, all that stuff. But I was like, oh, that's not right. Something's wrong. And so came home that night. I was lying in bed and I was like, I can't even lie on my side of my arm. And then I had a U-Haul filled with furniture. I brought all my furniture from the first floor where my pop-up store is, to clear it out. I brought it all here because I had plenty of furniture. I didn't buy anything. And I'm like, I can't even help my friends that are coming to help me move down here, help them move, because my arm is hurting so bad. Well, as it goes, it gets worse and worse and worse. And so finally, I left that Monday. I got the shot on a Thursday, left that Monday, went directly to home, and I called a doctor, and they're like, you need to go to the ER. And I'm like, I'm not going to any hospital in the cities. I don't want COVID. I'm not going to do it. Like, well, you really need to go. So I went long story short, they put my arm in a sling, called it a day. I was supposed to go to a optometrist, not optometrist, or orthopedist. I went to an optometrist a couple weeks ago, orthopedist. And so I had to get a COVID test. So I had to go to my local doctor, got a COVID test before I went to see my other doctor, get the results back. They're like, you have COVID. And I'm like, of course I have COVID because I went to that ER room, and and there were so many people waiting there, taking their masks off, blowing their noses, coughing, drinking beverages, putting their tissues everywhere. And I was just like, I had a mask on, but I just, it probably got on me. I don't really know, but it was the only place I went to. So I tested positive for COVID. So then I got COVID, but I have this thing. So now I've been diagnosed in my left arm, which has been basically dead. They call me dead arm now. My left arm, I can't move or use because of this shot. I got something called Sirva, SIRVA, because they shot the H1N1 into my bursa, which is the liquid behind. I can put my arm, I can go like this,
right?
But I really can't move it away from my body more than I can now move it a couple inches.
Yeah.
But I've learned how to work with one hand, one arm. So if that doesn't get better, I will never play drums.
Right. Well, man, that sucks. That's another thing about like getting older is like all these new things that could happen where like, oh man, I'm really sore. I haven't done anything and I'm sore. This new things that hurt and new reactions to things, and you just have to deal with it because that's how it is. Well, it sucks about your arm. I mean,
yeah.
Forget drumming. Just it sucks to not have your.
Yeah, it's been really frustrating because it's just like, oh my God. Like when I bring stuff down to Peterson or bring stuff back to Minneapolis, I'm not going to use whatever. It's just like carry one thing at a time with my right hand in a bag, a recyclable bag that's sturdy. And I just like, but yeah, Michelle Leon, Babe's first bass player, after the very first bout, but she lives about 20 miles from me here. So she's the one who turned me on to this bank building. And so I see her a lot, but her son is 6 years old. His name's River, and he's the one who started calling me Dead Arm. So now I'm just Dead Arm. He's like, come on, let's do something, Dead Arm. I'm like, River. And then it made me laugh so hard I was crying. It like was a laugh now, cry later. So I'm Dead Arm. From a 6-year-old. It's my new nickname, Dead Arm. It's so cute, but he's awesome. And it's really great to have my little pod of beautiful, really wonderful. So Michelle and I have spent more time together in the past 2.5 months since I got this place than we have in like the past 20 years since she hasn't been Babe's bass player, 30 years, however long it's been. It's really great. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, how, aside from all this other stuff that's going on, this year, how have you gotten by? Because like you told me in the interview in the book that you haven't had a real job ever except for 1 week or 2 weeks, was it? Like a long time ago, and you have just hustled and just been able to just generate money and income ever since. You literally had one job for a very short time. Well, you were like a secretary, right, or something?
Yeah,
like
that was you mean an office job. It's the only real job. I mean, I bartend, I DJ, I play music. I sell things because I'm a collector. I don't buy things anymore. Like everything that's in this 1,200 square foot place is from my place in Minneapolis. I haven't bought things in a while. I'm letting go of everything, and just getting rid of stuff. And I don't go shopping unless it's really, really needed, like a tool or, something household something or others. But so I just kind of DJ, bartend. I've worked at a couple breweries, I'll probably get a job over across the street at that it's literally, the door is maybe 200 feet from my door. But I think when it reopens again, I think I'm going to pick up a Monday night shift and then see what I get from there. But, if I can work 1 day a week and just feel like I have some kind of income, because I need something to, now I own 2 places, but my other place in Minneapolis is paid for. I just have to, I paid it off quite a while ago, like 16, 17 years ago. So that's how I got the money to pay for this place, took out a mortgage. But this place is so cheap. So, but I got to pay the bills. I got to eat.
Sure.
I have to hoard toilet paper, stuff like that.
Is there like a toilet paper shortage up there?
There was, there literally are people that would have like their children pushing carts filled with toilet paper. I'm like, really, really, really? I mean, you go into Rushford now, and it's a small town. Actually, Machine Gun Kelly's grandmother lives in Rushford, which is 4 miles from here.
Now that's a name of somebody I don't know anything about, but I've heard his name, and I'm gonna guess it's a much younger person.
He is. He plays a badass guitar though. He's like this young kid that, he's all tattooed and he's tall and skinny, and I don't know that much about him, but I'm learning stuff about this neighborhood. So all there is in this town is literally that's open. There's a post office with PO boxes. Next to that is a gentleman that has a sewing machine museum, and he hand makes, he has lathes and stuff, and he hand makes writing pens and utensils and mechanical pencils with all different kinds of woods, and it's really super cool. And he's an interesting gentleman. The American Legion, and then there's a mill on my block, and then there's a restaurant, and then that's it for anything and the city hall's right behind me. But I mean, as far as like businesses and things that are open, the American Legion isn't open, but it's open. It's a business. So as far as businesses, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 businesses in this town. And so I go to Rushford, which is 4 miles away. And they have like the grocery store, the coffee shop, the pharmacy, the auto repair places, all that kind of stuff. And Machine Gun Kelly's grandmother lives there. And then a man named, what's his name? He holds the fastest land speed record from the Salt Flats. And he's really cool. And I guess apparently he's like 80 years old, but he also lives in Rushford.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
and we like land speed record, Hüsker Dü.
I was trying to think of some stupid way of tying in land speed record by Hüsker Dü with you bringing up the term land speed record, but I wasn't smart enough to think of something clever. I like that record. That record's always ignored because people think it's tuneless. People think it's tuneless garbage or noise, and it's like, it's a great record. What are you talking about?
It's really, really great. I was there when they recorded it in the 7th Street Entry, and then I did a it was Grant Hart, Greg Norton, myself, Steve McClellan, who used to run First Avenue, who booked First Avenue 7th Street Entry back in the day and made it what it is basically, with Chrissy Dunlap, and Terry Katzman, who's now passed away also. He was their sound engineer for all of that. So we just did like a panel thing in the 7th Street Entry on the 30th anniversary.
Oh, that's nice.
40th.
Time's an abstract concept these days, Lori. It's just,
and it was really super great. And so that was in the 7th Street Entry a few years back, and it was all of us, and it was just so fun because I was there for the recording, and I ate, shat, and breathed Hüsker Dü.
Well, I have a really important question about Hüsker Dü, especially that time period that maybe you can help me help me with is like there's obviously there's video footage of them playing that night that's online and stuff like that. And the really impressive thing about Hüsker Dü and that stage, besides looking all angry and jacked up and stuff, is their dazzling arraignment of headbands. I've always, because like back then there was like that was, well, if you're a punk rocker, you got to wear something around your head or a beret like Mike Ness or whatever. And Hüsker Dü during that period, I think Grant and Bob Mould have these little funny looking headbands, like they're kind of committing to wearing a headband, but they couldn't find the right one. And they're like trying to look all serious and agitated, but they're wearing these like, was the headband effect brought up during that panel you were telling me about, where they found the headbands and why I thought Greg was wearing a headband because it's kind of dark, but it looks like he's wearing a beret. So I thought all three of them just made a pact to wear headbands during that period before they all started growing their hair out. I used to watch that stuff and go, they're having headband battles or a headband war. Did you wear a headband back then?
I think I have photos of myself with it. I think I used to have this red headband that I think I might have a photo. If I find it, I'll let you have you see it. I just saw a really great picture of D Boon with a headband on their very last show they played before he died in the accident. But I'm pretty sure he's wearing a headband. And I'm not kidding. I think it was yesterday. And I kind of giggled about it. I'm like, oh my God, that's when everyone wore headbands.
Yeah, everybody wore it was 81, 82. It was like martial law. If you liked punk rock music, you had to wear a headband. And so there's Hüsker Dü, Bob looking all serious and angry and whatever. And, Grant with his teeth and headband. They're all wearing headbands, and it's crazy.
Oh my God, that is. Oh my God.
So I just call it the headband wars. People in Orange County wearing headbands. I guess we gotta wear headbands.
I know. I swear. I think that's what kind of I think that's when they kind of started doing it, because I don't know. It'd be interesting to know, but they were just part of my life, but I'd never really like remembered I never noted when they started doing that, but
yeah, they're all of a sudden there they were wearing headbands and looking grim on stage, playing
the fastest music.
Yeah. Do you have we've talked about Hüsker Dü and Grant before because you were close to them, all of them, all of them. Do you have a favorite period for the band at all, or is it just one thing?
It's one big massive thing. I can't really differentiate periods during that because, I saw their beginning shows and I saw their very last show. So there was never a time where I went, I don't really care for it anymore. I loved it, loved them. They were just, there was a lot of music I really loved. I mean, I really loved the Replacements too, but Hüsker Dü is my thing, and I was a Hüsker Dü Veggie. They called us the Veggies. And
that was the nickname for the fans?
Yeah, there was a group of us. It was like the Man-Sized Action guys that played with them a lot, and like Rifle Sport kind of, but mostly like Rifle Sport and like that little group. And then there was like two of us girls that were at every show, and it was my friend. She was called Missy Mosey at the time, and now she's Eva Etol. She changed her name to her real first name, and then she married a Sky. And that's his last name. But anyways. Yeah, and so we were called because we were at every single show right in the front, right in the front, and wouldn't stop moving. They called us the Hüsker Dü Veggies.
Did the band pass out headbands and stuff?
No, never.
That's
no.
Bad.
But God. I just wish I could remember all of everything, but it was so fast and furious, and everyone had, you know, drinks.
Yeah, whoa, there you go.
Uh-oh. Sorry, my battery thing just came on that said low.
Uh-oh. Well, I guess we could wrap it up. I got plenty of good stuff.
What else? What's another thing? Urgent thing?
An urgent
Or
thing?
not
Oh,
urgent, but
okay,
what's
okay,
another one
well,
that you? Because I
okay,
have
well,
like
this,
10%.
okay, well, this kind of goes along with the book. You're obviously a pretty frugal person, I'm gonna guess. Like you don't live above your means and stuff like that. And a lot of my book is about just doing it and just what do you attribute your frugal money saving and money making ways? Because if you haven't had a fucking actual real typical job, that's a lot of hustling. And like, do you have the sense of excitement of hustling? Because I know I do. Like when things are moving and you're sending out emails and you're drawing stuff and you're getting stuff done and you're getting paid. Is there like some sort of high or just state of, oh, I'm able to do this? Like I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just trying to
Well,
ask.
no, I understand what you're saying. Yes, the wheeling and dealing. I mean, I think it's because I was out of the house when I was 17, and I
Yeah,
was so independent, and I already was so independent. Went into the city, that I just kind of was like, then I went to Key West, Florida, and I didn't have anything. I went down there, and I worked at a Nathan's, famous of Coney Island, that was in Nanuet, New York, and he's like, I've got a houseboat and I don't have any family and I graduated. He's like, if you want it, it's down there. And so I had to get some stuff done on it and met some local guys that just kind of like fixed it so it was livable. It floated, but it needed some stuff, it needed to be cleaned and this, that, whatever. And we just put like a big net around it so bugs and crap wouldn't go in there. And I lived on that sucker, and worked at Sloppy Joe's, and just always kind of like worked in the industry, but I never just had any money, and I just never have felt like I needed diamonds and this, that, whatever. I know that if I want something, I need to work for it, or I
yeah,
need to sell something that I already have, and to get money to buy what I want, but I'm very frugal in the way that I mean, the most expensive things I've bought, um is this building. I mean, and my house in Minneapolis, and I paid off my house in Minneapolis. Don't like debt. I hate debt. I don't owe anybody anything.
yeah,
Um, I get money. I don't go and run out and buy something that I want. I'll be like, oh, I'll pay an extra 50 or $100 towards my mortgage. So I paid it off really early, and saved myself thousands of dollars that way, and then got this place because my place in Minneapolis is paid for. And I mean, I have to say this place was under $75,000. So, and it's really great. And so I couldn't pass it up. And I'm like, I can come here anytime. It's my home away from home, or might be my permanent home sometime. But, and then I just brought down everything that I already have. So I didn't buy anything.
yeah,
So, and everything I buy, I mean, I've got like a 9-foot credenza over there that, has a travertine top, and I looked it up, and stuff. I could probably, if I really wanted to put it on a website somewhere, I could probably get like $7,000 for it. I paid $100 for it at a rummage sale. I saw it there and I said, hey, is that thing in your garage, that big long thing, for sale? And she goes, sure. This is only like 4 years ago, 3 years ago. And I
yeah.
said, how much would you think? And she goes, how about $100? I'm like, sold. And so, I have an eye, and stuff kind of comes to me, and I'm a collector, and then I just get bored. And so then I sell stuff, and then I get new stuff, and I just keep, I used to shop a lot. I really don't shop anymore. But if I see something I really, really, really love, I of course probably would get it. But I'm just really frugal. I get things that are worth, or I'd have to pay. This leather sofa that I got, it's all riveted, black leather, tufted and stuff. I got at a resale shop. They had it listed as a Naugahyde or pleather sofa. They had it for
Yeah.
$300. It's real leather and it's really high end. And I got this just a couple of years ago. So I have a good eye and I get things. I I I get them for a steal. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how I roll.
Yeah. Well, you also don't have any illusions of grandeur about like, oh, well, I have to buy this because this will, I just have to spend money on this kind of thing, which is
Yep.
part of being frugal. It's like, what do you actually really need, unless
Yep.
you're going to flip it or sell it or whatever. So,
Yep. And I'm also a Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, you can't get back us in a corner or we'll stab you in the effing throat. Um, we have wings on our heels.
Well, that's good to know.
And I think that we like cool things, but usually artists, musicians, artists, bankers, accountants. That's kind of our deal. So
Yeah.
I guess that I just learned really well. I guess it started because my parents, when I was young, we didn't have any money, so we went thrift store shopping. But my parents used to say, "Don't ever tell anyone that your clothes are from a thrift store," because that was when it was really uncool and poor people. You should never wear used things, and now it's all the rage. But so I started when I was really young, learning that you can get really cool things at these resale shops. And I started when I was young, going with my parents. So that's just kind of how I learned that way. And my family just never really had any money, and either did my grandparents, and neither of them. So I just kind of learned that way. But I have never, I've always lived happily and very content.
Yeah. Yeah. You said in the book, the most important thing you can do in life is just try to figure out how to be happy. You don't worry about anything else. Just do whatever makes you happy. Does it make you happy? Yes. Well, that's what you should do. And just don't worry about what you don't have. Just be glad for what you have, and just try to be happy. Sometimes it's not simple.
That it really is. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're lying on your deathbed, it's like, oh geez, what do you want to do before you die? I mean, just get out, and it might take a while, but just have that goal and just freaking do it. I mean, I'm fortunate that I got to travel. I love traveling because I'm a Sag. Cat's a Sag. So we're kind of like-minded, and we don't mind sleeping on someone's floor, because then that way we have more money in our pocket at the end of the day too. I mean, we didn't make that much, but if we could crash at someone's place, or we didn't need really nice hotels. And until, we started getting bigger and people would, the venues would pay for your rooms and stuff like that. They'd set you up with that stuff. That was really nice. They do it in Europe. They just don't do it in the States until you're, somebody. But so that was nice. I'm not going to push it away, but we're just kind of like, we aren't going to get a bus because then we aren't going to have any money at the end of the day. We were more like, no, we want something that we can hold on to for a long time. I mean, bus is okay, but travel in a van, we can, then that way we can stop if we want to stop somewhere, and we can, I don't know, it's just cooler. It's more, I don't know, it's more.
You control things. You control your destiny more financially.
Yes.
In that situation, which just sounds like something that you always tried to do.
Yep. Exactly. You guys, the Melvins are a van too. I respect that so much. They could do a bus if they wanted to, but they're like, no, it's just ridiculous because it's just more intimate. It's all about who you're with. You should be like a family, and if you can't be by each other and more intimate and intertwine, of course you don't need to talk the entire time or go, just being yourself. But to be together, it bonds you. If you're in a bus, you just are in these you just go in your bed and you just lay there and you just shut yourself off, and then there becomes animosity and you're like,
I've never been in a bus before, ever. Never.
Yeah. We had to do it they told us we had to do it for Lollapalooza. And then Dinosaur Jr. had a van, and I was pretty pissed because we already had a bus, but I was like, but then that way we traveled overnight. So when we woke up, was the next day of the next party of the party day. It was pretty, that really was the funnest. It was so fun. Oh my God. It was, it was the best festival on wheels ever.
I believe you. I
It
totally,
really was.
yeah.
It really was. It was, we had a bus 2 times, and second time was a nightmare. But that time was really fun, and yeah, it was pretty friggin' great. What an experience, you know? So
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, hey, we almost used up your 10% of your phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so I want to say thank you. It was nice to talk to you
Yes.
for a long time.
It's really, really great to see you, Brian. I'm really grateful for that we've crossed paths so many times, and we'll do it again. We're gonna have a Hug Fest 2021. I cannot wait.
I think 2021 is going to be a big explosion once things get back to normal. So
Yeah.
you're going to see a lot of happy, grateful people, and probably
Yeah.
a lot of art and music, I think.
I can't wait.